We are in the concluding session of the 10-week course on inner wellness. Wellness is a state of existence. Wellness is a state of existence that we are all aspiring for. If a person is already in a state of wellness, there is no need to do anything about it. So wellness is a state that we are aspiring for because the assumption is we are not in that state of wellness now. We are not in that state and we are aspiring for that. We want to reach that. Question is, how does one achieve that? Before we go on to see how does one achieve that, we will briefly see what wellness means. There will not be a lot of charts alone. There won't be any charts today. Just the summary of what we have been discussing till now. Wellness is a state of existence that we are aspiring for. What is that state of wellness that we are aspiring for? That we have to be very clear first. What is that wellness state that we are aspiring for? People say peace of mind, sir. Okay, peace of mind is given, but you will be very poor. No. I want richness and peace of mind. So wellness is a combination of these two is what everyone is aspiring for. Wellness is a state of a combination of prosperity and peace. You are very prosperous, but no peace of mind. Peaceful, but no prosperity. So you always feel one is lacking. So wellness is an inner state where you don't feel anything lacking, where you don't feel that you are missing something. That's called inner. That is called inner wellness. Why it is called as inner? It is called inner because it is the inner state of mind, not the external state of where you are and what you have. The wellness is not an external state. Wellness is not an external state of where you are and what you are, how much you have, how much you don't have. These are all the external factors. So these external factors do not determine your wellness. Your wellness is entirely determined by your inner state. So wellness, does it come from external or is it internal? In the last 10 weeks, we have understood wellness is something that is internal. That's why it's called inner wellness. In the initial stages, the human being believes wellness comes from outside. If I acquire more and more and more, I will be more and more taken care of. I can lead a fulfilled life. So the person tries to acquire a lot, hoping that wellness comes through acquisition. And then he has understood the very act of acquisition itself has made him so sick. You have to follow now. He believes that if he has acquisitions, he will be well off. And then what he realizes, and then what does the human being realizes? The very process of acquisition itself makes a person go through the stress and strain, the trauma, the pain, the agony. Then comes a time where the person says, no, let me do something else. And when he tries to do something, what is that something else? That is the time the person starts turning spiritual. He says, now let me turn spiritual. And again, he'll continue the same acquisition mode in spirituality also. What is the acquisition mode in spirituality also? How many temples I have visited? How many times I have chanted the Lord's name? Which more temples and all is there that I haven't gone? I don't know what will happen, because before I go to those temples, I'll die. Now what will happen to me? God will tell me that you have visited only 2 places, not the remaining 20 places. The same spirit of acquisition continues into the spiritual path. Thereby, the wellness is not achieved even in the spiritual path. So, from the chasing the world in the materialistic path, also the person doesn't achieve fullness. In the spiritual path, also the person doesn't achieve wellness. Because in both the pursuits, you don't guide yourself properly. The reason is not the path. The reason is not the path. There is no materialistic path and spiritual path. Any path, if you are not guided, there is a difficulty. Any path, if you are guided, you reach the destination. So it all boils down to the guidance. It means the one who is guiding must know, isn't it? To guide. Then by default, it becomes very clear. What? The one who is guiding must know how to guide, what to tell you to do, what to tell you not to do. Correct? That's what guidance is. Guidance means to tell you what you should do. Guidance means to tell you what you should not do. All this is done by the intellect. All this is done by the intellect. So, unless this intellect is strengthened, it will not be able to guide properly. And that intellect to be strengthened, and for the intellect to be strengthened, it needs to follow the path. And for the intellect to be strengthened, it needs to follow a path. The path of proper study and reflection. The path of proper study and proper reflection. By the path of proper study and reflection, the pursuits can be guided. The pursuits can be guided. If it is not guided, the unguided pursuit will end up in the disaster. Meaning, you will know the destination, but you will be sitting in the wrong, you will be driving in the wrong direction because of lack of guidance. Are you able to follow? Again, I repeat. Most of us, if not most, all of us know the destination. We don't have a problem in destination. Problem is we are driving in the wrong direction. Driving in the wrong direction, the human being hopes to get to the right destination. Vedanta comes and says, if you have to reach your destination, you should learn to drive in that direction. Intellect guides you to drive in the direction of your destination, thereby you can reach your destination. And what is the destination? Vedanta doesn't give us the destination. Destination is what is there in every one of us naturally. Carefully follow. Vedanta doesn't come and tell you all, seek this. Every human being is seeking something already. All human beings are seeking something already. Nobody needs to be told, seek this. What is it that all human beings are seeking in the past, in the present, in the future? All human beings seek only one thing. That one thing is called the state of peace, happiness, contentment, joy, satisfaction, bliss. Any word you can use. All are synonyms. You can use any number of adjectives you can use. Ultimately, it boils down to a state of fulfillment. Until you get to that fulfilled state, your pursuit will happen. So that what is the destination now? Fulfillment is the destination. And if you have to reach the destination of fulfillment, you need to drive in the road that will take you to the destination. You cannot drive in an opposite road and expect to reach the destination. Intellect says, this is the destination, this is the path, this is the road. And when you are driving on the road, you are bound by the rules of the road. Are you able to follow? When you are driving, you are bound by the rules of the road. Destination is fixed already. Destination is fixed already. The road rules are also laid down very clearly. Then what is the problem? Are you able to follow the question? Okay. The destination is clear. The road rules are also laid down very clearly. So there is no problem with reference to the road rules. There is no problem with reference to the destination. And yet, why nobody seems to reach the destination, or very few reaches the destination, while rest are all lost? Not being aware of what the destination is and not knowing what the rules are is the problem. Vedanta is the science that teaches you what the destination is, what are the rules that takes you to that destination. So the road rules are laid out. Destination is natural to you. How do you say it is a natural destination? Whatever you do, whatever you avoid doing, a human being does something, a human being avoids doing something else. Correct? That's the basic premise. The basic, not the premise, the basic fact is you do something, you avoid doing something else. You do something because doing that is going to take you to a destination. You avoid doing a few things because by not doing that, it will take you to the destination. That's why you do something, you avoid doing something. What is the destination? The destination is called inner fulfillment. That destination is called inner fulfillment. And at realizing this inner fulfillment, you will feel that all is well. Till you don't reach that wellness will never come. So what is the natural destination that all human beings are seeking for? A state of inner fulfillment. Whatever you do, whatever you avoid doing, because doing that is giving you happiness, you do that. Why you avoid doing something? Not doing that is giving you happiness. Therefore, whatever you do is for happiness. Whatever you avoid doing again is for happiness. Some come for the class because it gives them happiness. Some do not come for the class because it is miserable to them. Are you able to follow? I'm not saying who's right, who is wrong. Huh? Please. I'm not saying that. I'm saying a person comes because it gives happiness. A person doesn't come because it is so very miserable it is. So you do something because it gives you happiness. You avoid doing something because not doing that is giving you happiness. For which somebody will object and say, no, no, sir, the way that you are putting it, the way that you are explaining it makes us feel we are all very selfish and self-centered people, as though we are all working for our happiness only. At least I am not like that, sir. I am not like that. I am not doing anything for my happiness. I want to give happiness to others. Correct? A person says that. Deny that person an opportunity to give happiness to others. What happens to him or her? Miserable. Correct? Miserable. Therefore, even when you want to give happiness to others, that you giving happiness to others is giving you happiness. This is not selfish or self-centered. This is the nature. Another person will come and say, no, no, sir, I am not interested in my happiness and all. I only want knowledge. I only want knowledge. Deny that person an opportunity to gain knowledge. Will he be peaceful? Will he be happy? No. Correct? No. Therefore, even when he is looking for knowledge, through knowledge, that person is looking for happiness. Therefore, from this we derive the law of life. What is the natural destination? That we are right from birth to death, like Swamiji says, cradle to graveyard. What does the human being is looking for? The destination is fixed. What is the destination? Anybody? The last 15 minutes I explained. What is the destination? Happiness is the destination. Happiness is, you can use the word happiness, you can use the word fulfillment, you can use the word contentment, you can use a state of inner wellness, any word you can use, but all means the same. Now, destination is fixed. The newborn child also, don't try this experiment, and if you get into trouble, don't blame us, sir. A 3-month, 90 days old child, 120-day old child. You take honey. You take honey and smear that the tongue of the child. What is the reaction of the child? What is the reaction of the child? Happy, isn't it? Smiles. It smiles. Next day, again honey. Happy. Third day, when you go near the child, what the child will do? You all have, at least most of you had children, grandchildren, or having children, or planning to have, or at least you would have seen some children. Third day, when you go near the child, what the child will do? Anybody? Correct. It will stick the tongue out in anticipation. It will do. And then you smear neem oil. You smear neem oil. Out of neem oil itself, the face goes into weird concoctions, isn't it? Even the child is, so from the next time you go, the child is in doubt now. Whether you will give the child honey or, isn't it? It feels like sticking the tongue out, at the same time not sticking. Sometimes it's like the dog, no? It will be barking and wagging the tail also, isn't it? Because it's confused. You don't know whether to be friendly and only wag the tail or bark. So what it does, it tries. So the destination is clear. What is the destination? From child, court the pleasant and avoid the unpleasant. Are you able to follow now? Court that which is pleasant and avoid that which is unpleasant. So if you, so in your entire lifetime, if you court that which is pleasant and avoid that which is unpleasant, you will lead a happy life. Huh? But then we have seen already what is pleasant in the beginning. What is pleasant in the beginning turns out to be bitter at the end. And what appears to be painful in the beginning turns out to be pleasurable at the end. It means at the beginning itself you need to know. In order to reach the destination, you need to know what takes you to the destination, what takes you away from the destination. Are you okay till now? Now the child is growing. The child is growing. For the newborn child, where lies happiness? Where lies happiness for the newborn child? The warmth of the mother, isn't it? The warmth. That's why it will always want somebody to carry, isn't it? You leave the child alone, it will start crying because it wants the warmth. It wants somebody to. That's why you should not carry the child all the time. Huh? Sometimes the child has to be put on the floor also. Vijayarangan. Yeah. Sometimes it has to be put on the floor also sometimes. It's good for the child. Maybe bad for you, but good for the. Now the child grows. 3 years old. 4-year-old the child. And the child had started to play with toys. Correct? The child starts playing with toys. What happens to the warmth? What happens to the happiness that's got from the warmth of the mother now? What happened to that happiness? Because if the mother comes and hugs the child, the child says, "No, leave me. I want to play." Happiness has shifted. At one point of time, it is in the warmth of the mother. Now the warmth of the mother itself becomes painful because happiness has shifted. Now where lies happiness? In the toys. And you cannot pull the child away from the toys, correct? You cannot pull the child away from the toys. You can't pull the child from the toy and say, be happy. You cannot do that to the child. As long as the toys are there, the child is happy. You remove the toys, the child is unhappy. And the child grows into the teenage. What happens to the toys? All the toys it start distributing to the cousins and everybody, isn't it? Because it has moved on to something. What it has moved on to? What it has moved on to? It has moved on to the bicycle. The happiness has shifted to the bicycle. Who is forgotten long back? What is forgotten long back? Narayana. What is forgotten long back? The warmth of the mother. Because from the warmth of the mother, it has come to the toys. From the toys, it has come to the bicycle. And from the bicycle, it will go on to the teenage passions. Suddenly, the other person becomes very important, isn't it? The passions, happiness shifts to that. and then happiness shifts to job, and then happiness shifts to career, and then happiness shifts to family, your family. By the time you finish all this, you are old and fatigued. Where lies happiness now? Preparation for afterlife, isn't it? Now you start worrying about death and you start preparing for. Now happiness has shifted to not life anymore. Happiness has shifted to after death. One day, Ramatirtha, one of the great saints, does this analysis in one of his lectures. And one day, the person in the office gets a phone call. The phone call that the person gets is so disturbed him that he couldn't even put the phone properly. He's running out of office, rushing out of office. What is the phone that he heard? The building is on fire. Where the family is housed, that building is on fire. He rushes to the building and sees the whole building in flames, desperately looking for his family. He sees the wife there, happy. And then he looks at the wife's hand, unhappy. Why? Child is missing. Child isn't there. So where is the child? She said, there are 5 people in the house. When the fire came, everybody thought the child is with somebody else and all the fire ran down. And the child is stuck in the building, which is under flames. Are you able to follow the situation? And that person is crying on top of the voice. Somebody save my child. Somebody save my child. Somebody save my child. Correct? That's what people do, no? Somebody save, somebody save, somebody save. Ramatirtha says, watch here. This man is not entering the fire. This man is not entering the fire. He wants somebody because his life is more dear to him than the life of the child. A time comes where, assume that the person has got some terminal disease, excruciating pain that person is going through. At that point of time, where happiness lies for that person? Terminal disease, going through excruciating pain. Where happiness lies now? Happiness lies in death. So if you see right through in life, happiness is like a horizon. It's in front of you, and you get closer to it, it recedes back. You get closer to it, it recedes back. What Vedanta comes and says is, when you are trying to reach it externally, you will never be able to reach the destination, because that destination is an internal state. The destination, that happiness, that peace, that contentment, the fulfillment, the joy, the satisfaction, the fullness, the wellness, whatever it is that you are seeking is an internal state. Since it is an internal state, you have to get it within yourself. It is within. And when you say within, where within, isn't it? Look within. And where will you look within, isn't it? Look within, where will you look? Into the hands? Look within, where will you look? If you look this side, you will come out through the back, no? What is looking within? It is inside. It is inside. Inside means where? In your innermost core, and that's your true nature. In your innermost core, and that's your true nature. So the destination is very clear. What? Happiness being your inner core, that's your inner nature. That your natural state is to be happy and peaceful, is your natural state. Until you get to that state, you will be disturbed, agitated. Swamiji gives 2 beautiful examples to explain this. Those of you who have not heard it, It's a very good example. Imagine a 4-foot spring, a spring which is of 4 feet. You compress the spring to 1 feet. What happens? There is a pressure, isn't it? You release the spring to 2 feet, there is pressure. You release it to 3 feet, there is pressure. You release it to 4 feet, no pressure. Why? Because it has reached its natural state. Therefore, as long as you don't reach your natural state, you will be pressurized for pleasure. As long as you don't reach that natural, and that natural state is the inner state. And you need to be guided to reach that state. So the destination is clear. Now come back to the starting point. The destination is clear. What is the destination? It's not living, it's not dying, it's not the toys, it's not the career, it's not the job, it's not the wife, it's not the children, it's not the family, it is not the health, it is not the wealth. What is the destination? In and through all this, what is the destination? Happiness is the destination. Now, happiness being the destination, you need to take a path to get to that destination. Destination means a path. You follow? A path. And you need to travel a path to get to that destination. And what is the path that you have to take? Not the path of materiality and sensuality. The intellect guides it. This is where the importance of intellect comes in. Unless the intellect is there, you cannot guide yourself to reach the destination. You will be lost. Or most of the human beings, if not all human beings, are lost because they have not yet reached the destination. Why they didn't reach the destination? Because all of them are traveling in the wrong direction. Can the whole world go wrong? The truth is, yes, the whole world is going wrong. Why? Because they are not guided properly. To guide yourself to reach the destination, the guide must know the direction, isn't it? We said it already. To guide you, the guide must be knowledgeable. Knowledge is already available in the form of Vedanta. So we don't have to create the knowledge. The knowledge is already there. And that knowledge is called Veda Anta. That knowledge is already there. It's called Vedanta. Veda plus Anta equals Vedanta. It's there already. All that the human being needs to do is what? Use the appropriate instrument, intellect, by gaining this knowledge so that the destination is reached. Once the destination is reached, you have achieved inner wellness. That's the sequence. It means you need to go through. Knowledge is always a systematic process. Knowledge can never be gathered in bits and pieces. Knowledge has to, you have to gain knowledge by a systematic method, correct? You can't do pranayama and gain knowledge, correct? You can't do meditation and gain knowledge. I want to become a doctor. So what am I doing, sir? Morning half an hour meditation, evening half an hour meditation. So I will become a doctor. To gain knowledge, you need to go through a systematic process of study, reflection, understanding. That systematic study, reflection, and understanding is what is recommended as the 3-year online course. We don't give any quick fix solutions, sir. We don't offer any quick fix solutions. For it doesn't work. First aid treatment alone doesn't work. You need to go through the proper course of treatment. Correct? There are two types of treatment. We saw that already. One is the first aid and another is the permanent. And people get so satisfied with the first aid treatment itself and they believe that they are cured. Imagine the first aid treatment itself makes you believe that you are cured. What will happen? Because the disease is still there, it keeps flaring up again and again and again. Therefore, to reach the destination, you have to be guided, and guidance comes through knowledge and understanding. Guidance can be of two factors. One is you guide yourself, another is you depend on an external guide. Again, I repeat. Guidance can be of two factors. One is you can guide yourself or you be dependent on an external guide. Vedanta says the external guide you have to use, but they are temporary. You should know how to guide yourself. Till you know how to guide yourself, you take the help of an external guide. But ultimately, the real help comes from your own self. That's why they say self-help is the best help. It is correct. The self-help is the best help. But then you need to do under guidance for a while, mature yourself, and then do it by yourself. So guidance can be of two factors. One is an external factor can guide you. Another is you can guide yourself. The 3-year course is the external guide, without which you can never strengthen your intellect. Without the external aid, you can never become internally strong. Again, I repeat, without the external guide, you can never develop inner strength. So ultimately, you need to guide yourself is what we have concluded. And everybody knows that. Can I start guiding myself now? You cannot guide yourself now. Why? Because why you cannot guide yourself now? In 10 weeks course I have attended, no sir. Can't I use all this from these 10 weeks and guide? Because this 10 weeks itself, you taught us so much. Can't I use all this and guide myself? In 10 weeks, we have only explained one word. That also I am claiming I have explained. I don't know whether, yeah, it is self-declaration only. I don't know whether 10 weeks only explaining that there is this thing called intellect and you got to strengthen it to guide yourself. There is this thing called intellect and you need to strengthen it so that you can guide yourself. So in order to guide yourself, which is the real help, you need a strong intellect. Question is, what do I do to develop? What do I do to get this, to make my intellect strong? That is where the course that we recommend comes in. The 3-year online course. The 3-year online course. You can get the details of the course in elearning.vedantaworld.org, isn't it, Venkat? elearning.vedantaworld.org is where you get all the details about the course. Enrolling for that, again, just not enrollment. Enrolling alone is not enough. By following whatever is taught in that course, in a year, you will be exposed to 150 lectures in a year. So when we say 3-year course, it's not that all 365 days you will be given a lecture. Please understand that. There are about 165, 170 lectures in a year. It means what? When you proportion it, how much it comes to? Every third day a lecture? Every third day a lecture comes. So how does the process work? You hear a lecture for a day, think about it for 2 days, and then third day go for the next one, and then think about it for 2 days and go for the third lecture. That is how, by this process of listening and thinking, by this process of listening and thinking on what you have heard, strengthens the intellect. In Sanskrit, it's called Shravana and Manana. The process of listening and thinking on what you have listened. Why you have to think? Because unless you think, it will never become yours. When you are listening to a lecture, you are only borrowing someone else's knowledge. It's not yet yours. So in order to guide yourself, the knowledge that you borrow from the external source must become your own. And if it has to become your own, how it will become your own? You can't just keep eating. No, you have to eat. And then what you have to do? Give time for the food to digest. Give time for the body to assimilate, digest, distribute, and then go for the next round of eating. Correct? If you continuously only eating, what will happen? Nothing will happen. In fact, disease only starts. Or you don't eat at all. Again, starvation, disease. Exactly, Shravana and Manana works like that. Therefore, the 3-year course is designed in such a way that you will listen to a lecture for a couple of days. They will guide you in that course. In fact, they will give you the entire timetable for the 3 years. What all days you should listen. Everything is set completely in that. And then another important thing, when we say online course, it's 1 hour per day. It's not a whole day teaching. It's not a whole day lecture. All lectures is only for an hour a day. When we say course, don't think that you have to sit and study the whole day. It's only for an hour. And what you hear in that 1 hour, you need to reflect on it for 2 days. Just as you eat for 10-15 minutes and it takes assimilation and digestion takes 6 hours, 7 hours, isn't it? For 6 hours, 7 hours of digestion, you don't eat for 7 hours, do you? So you eat for 10-15 minutes. So eating time is always less. Digestion, assimilation and digestion is more. That's why the lecture will be given, the talks is designed 1 hour talk, and rest of the 2 days you are given time to assimilate, digest, make it your own. When you assimilate, digest and make it your own, that knowledge is yours. When you have gained this knowledge by yourself, you will know how to guide yourself. A person who knows how to guide oneself is a person who can guide the external also. If you do not know how to guide yourself, you can never guide others. You can never guide anybody. Or in fact, everybody wants to guide the other, isn't it? The fallacy of human life is this. Swamiji always gives this example. Everybody is a good philosopher as long as problem is another person's. When somebody comes with the problem, everybody is ready with the solution. When you are faced with the same problem, why are you not able to handle it? You collapse. The human being collapses. The human being is not able to handle it. Why they collapse? Under the weight of their own problem. Because the intellect is not strong. If the intellect is not strong, what takes over? The mind takes over. If the intellect is not strong, the mind takes over. And when the mind takes over, it will lead you to drive in the wrong direction. When the mind takes over, you will be driving in the wrong direction, hoping to reach the destination. And when you are driving in the wrong direction, you can never reach the destination. At some point of time, you have to take a U-turn, isn't it? At some point of time, you have to take a U-turn. And the 3-year course is the U-turn. What is the U-turn? The 3-year course is the U-turn point. By this, it's not a difficult course. Just see, for your own inner wellness, you are asked to spend once in 3 days, 1 hour for your own self. What is the difficulty in that? If you are told, leave everything and join the 3-year course. That's what some of us did. We went and joined the academy to do the 3-year course. What the 3-year course now, the e-learning course is, whatever we are taught there is what is taught to you also. What is the only difference? The only difference is what we did there, you can do it at your place itself. It's not different. Whatever we heard, whatever we studied, whatever was taught to us is recorded, and that is given out to everybody now. So in that way, what happens? Whatever is learned is what you also learn. And time is also given for assimilation and digestion. Therefore, when we say 3-year course, it is not a 3-year commitment. It is 170 hours commitment in 1 year. Does anybody know mathematics? What is 170 hours commitment in 1 year? What is the percentage? Very infinitesimal. I have done all the percentages. I have done all the calculations. So 170 hours for your own wellness is what is required of you for 3 years to strengthen the intellect. Venkat, I'm saying correctly, yeah? I'm saying correctly, no? Vijayarangan, correct? 170 hours in how many days? 365 days. If you see it like that, you will know that it is manageable. You can do it. Otherwise, you will feel 3-year course, oh my God, it's a commitment. 3-year and all is a long commitment, sir. How can I do that? How can I do that? It's not 170 hours in 365 days, sir. 365 into 24 first. That's how you have to calculate, isn't it? 365 into 24. How much it comes? Narayana, do the calculation, no? 306, immediately is taking the calculator now. Correct. Use the calculator only, please. 365 into 24. How many hours? Type on, I can see the all are on mute. 8,760 hours. 8,760 hours. You are asked to spend 160 hours. But look at the result you get. This is how you can strengthen the intellect. இப்படி ஒரு சார்ட் போட்டு வச்சுக்கணும் வெங்கட். 8760 hours. Of that 8,000, Vijayarangan. Narayana, is Vijayarangan correct? His calculations? Because I don't trust him. I don't trust his mathematics. I know him for so long. I know him for so long. I don't trust him. His mathematics and all is very bad. And he claims himself to be a very super engineer also. Out of 8,760 hours, you have to spend only 170 hours for your own betterment. Consider this for your own betterment. I am not saying join, because I am not here marketing. I am not a salesperson for that course. I am not a marketing person for that course here. Seriya, Prashant. I am not a salesperson. I am not a marketing man for that course. I am saying there is an intellect and there is a systematic course that is step by step it takes you. In the 3-year course, you will be covering 10 books, starting from The Fall of Human Intellect to The Holocaust of Attachment to Governing Business and Relationships to select English poems from English literature, the Vedanta treatise, Bhajagovindam, Atmabodha, Bhagavad Gita, 4 Upanishads, all put together takes 170 into 3. YOLO. Vijayarangan again. 170 into 3. How much? Hundred and 170 into 3? Only that much hours you need to put. 510. In 510 hours, you get to know this much of material. And this much of material spread over 3 years so that you have given enough time for assimilation. And wherever doubts are there, there is a forum to raise your doubts and gets clarified. That is also there. It's not only reading. It's not a live discourse. It's a recorded discourse. Huh? It's not a live discourse. It's a recorded discourse. And why this course is recommended? I personally recommend this course because imagine Shakespeare teaching Shakespeare. Some professor can teach Shakespeare, correct? Imagine Krishna teaching Bhagavad Gita, how it will be. The author himself explains the book. The author himself teaches the book. The 5 books there, the five books is done by the author Swamiji himself. And Swamiji himself is teaching the books. So you don't get it. The person writes the book and the person teaches the book. And all that is required is for 510 hours in 3 years. What is your investment? 510 hours out of 27,000 hours. Roughly I am saying, Vijayarangan. Because 8650 you put no. So roughly what it comes to around 27,000 hours. You spend 510 hours for your own wellness. It's not a big deal. It's not difficult at all. It's very easy. Then the way it is product 3-year course, online course, etc. And then the beauty is you don't where the author himself is teaching the books. Very rare you get that opportunity in life. Because somebody writes the book, somebody else will teach on the book. Correct? Somebody writes the book and somebody else will come and so when somebody else is teaching on that book, it is that person's understanding. So when I am talking on inner wellness for 10 weeks, I speak based on what my understanding is. Vis-a-vis, distinct and different from that is listening and hearing from the master directly. So all that you need to do is what? Spend 510 hours in 26,000 hours. What is the proportion? 1% kuda kediyadu, isn't it? Not even 1% it comes to. Therefore, now I am concluding. Therefore, the strength you have to guide yourself to your wellness. And in order to guide yourself to your own wellness, you need a strong intellect. And that strong intellect comes only through proper study and understanding of Vedanta. Proper study and understanding means a sequential, systematic study. You need not worry about the sequence because the master has already taught about he has already thought about the sequence, and the sequence is all laid out. All that you got to do is what? Be wise enough to make use of that. It's like you have a disease, the medicine is there. You have the disease and the medicine is there. What you got to do? Be wise enough to take the medication. That is called inner. That is called inner wellness. And where do you get those details? The details about the 3-year course and all that is elearning.vedantaworld.org. If you still have any doubts, you can reach out to me personally also. After going through this, if you have anything, you can reach out to me personally. You can reach out to me personally by my mail. By email, you can reach out to me personally. If you have any clarifications about the doubts, and even after joining the course, if you have any doubts, we are there to support. Whatever doubts you have, we are there to support. We have group discussions once a week, twice a week. We have group discussions where all the people get together. They discuss. So there is so we have a complete system that will be like, it's not that you are just left alone, that you have to read by yourself. There is a proper after sales service. After sales service, I don't know. We have that. We have that also. What all we have to speak. Otherwise, knowledge will bring a doubts. Knowledge will bring doubts. And if the doubts are not clarified, you cannot move on to the next. You cannot move on to the next. Therefore, we have that support system also. And in so many places, I do it personally by myself. I do it. Therefore, the conclusion is there is the course, there is availability. The suggestion is make use of it. The recommendation is make use of it. As I told in the very beginning itself, I am not the marketing person for this course. I am not hard selling the course here. I am only explaining 10 weeks. We explained it. And it's so wonderful that quite a few of you survived the entire 10 weeks. Very good. Because very difficult to survive. I know that it's not easy. The first 2-3 classes we'll try to make it look, we'll do all that natak in the first 2-3 sessions and make it look very appealing and all that. And then when the mind and intellect definition starts and the self-diagnostic tools and all comes in, it gets a bit tougher and tougher. We know that. But then there is no other way also. But then there is no other way. You can reach out to, in case anything you want to know more about the course, you can reach out to me by my email. I will tell my email ID. You can make a note of it. Venkat, update type பண்ணிடுங்கல என்னோட email ID. I didn't put it in the chart because I thought அதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப too. I thought it will become very ugly marketing. I didn't do that. This is my email ID. That's my contact number. Please make a note. Whoever wants to make a note, they can make a note. So that if you have any doubts, it will get there. Mail aravindanar@gmail.com. Don't worry, Venkat will put it in the chat. Whoever wants to make a note, you can make a note. I'm not asking anybody to make a note and reach out to me. I'm not saying that, because that's not how knowledge is given. Yata ishyasi tatha kuru. In Bhagavad Gita, that's how he concludes. There you are. There you are. The Venkat has posted the email, my email ID. There you are. Go through the course details if you still have any clarification, you can reach out to me. This is inner wellness. Thank you very much for listening for 10 weeks. Any doubts, any clarification, we will take up. If there are any clarifications anybody has, we will take it up now.
Thank you, sir, for this 10 weeks, which was a wonderful primer, I felt. So Prashant here. I did look up at this course description through this e-learning website, and I had a couple of questions, I think out of which one you already answered. One was because I've heard about this residential program, this 3 years, and I've heard there is a lot of group discussion. Apart from hearing it and also reflecting it by ourselves, there is a lot of group discussion. So I was wondering whether that important concept would be missed a lot through this online program.
Yeah,
and I think you said that's where you have also group discussions.
Yes. If that group discussions isn't there, you can never the course can never be. You can never understand, because you can never understand it rightly, because doubts arises as you gain knowledge. The important aspect of gaining knowledge is it brings a lot of doubts, and unless those doubts are clarified. And we cannot say you clarified by yourself. We cannot say that also. So we have those group discussions where we take up those doubts and we clarify it. So it is easy to move on to the next. That's how the course is designed. Correct. And group discussion is a very important discipline. That we will plan it out in such a way that we will meet, depending on that, either once a week or twice a week we meet. Not more than that. Because since you are going to listen to only 3 lectures a day, 3 lectures in a week, one group discussion a week should be more than enough to clarify the doubts. Rest of the time, you are musing it on whatever you have heard, you are musing it by yourself.
I had one more question, sir. Also, the description says you're allowed to watch one video only once.
Yes.
I was wondering what is the rationale, and sometimes, for whatever reason, we would like to revisit a video, and is that not a possibility?
Yes. Why we kept it like that is because the rationale behind it is, first, is when it is said you can only listen to it once, your attention will be more. Your focus will be more. Your attention, because you know that there is no other opportunity. You miss it. If you miss it, you miss it. One. So one is to make sure that your listening skills are improving. If we say that there is a, if you say that you can always revisit, tendency is to relax. So first reason is to make sure that your Shravana becomes acute listening. Second is, even if you miss it, since philosophy being cyclical, the same point will be repeated again in a different context. So you will never miss it. So supposing if you say, okay, sir, we are not so trained to listening like that and all. What happens if I miss a point? That's why I want to revisit it. I want to revisit because I missed a point. What do I do if I miss a point? For which the answer is no. You can never miss a point. Why you can never miss a point? Because it will be repeated again and again and again in different contexts under different verses. Therefore, you need not worry about missing anything. But it is specifically designed so that when you, how to bring that 1 hour undivided attention. That's the challenge we had. How to bring that 1 hour undivided attention. Everybody was asking, let us elaborate, let us give them 2 views, 3 views, etc. Not twice to view, thrice to view, etc. Swamiji said, no. It will be only once, because the first few months it will be difficult, because we are so used to pausing, rewind, again listen, pause, rewind again. We are so used to that. Psychologically, we want to make it in a real classroom. You can never tell the teacher rewind back 10 minutes, no? We want people to listen to it with that attitude. In a real classroom, you can never ask the person, pause, rewind. You can ask the person to repeat. If you miss something, ask the person to repeat. Here in the 3-year course, you will not have that problem at all. Why? Because it will be repeated anyway again and again. So a dedication, a sharp listening skill, it's not only teaching for an hour. In that 1 hour also, there are certain subtle things that is taught. The listening skills, you have to treat it as even though it is a recorded one, for all practical purposes, you have to treat it as a live. You have to treat it as a live class. In a live class, you can never pause and rewind. That's why it is kept. Sometimes you miss, but then in the overall 3 years, you will never miss, because every point that is said will be covered at least 10 times again and again and again. That much of repetition, that much of analysis will be happening. Therefore, you will never miss it.
Yep.
Did I help you, Prashant?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. With this, I conclude. Hope to be in touch with you all soon.